In creating my final project, which is recreating the infinite zoom effect, a tool that many filmmakers use to make their scenes more interesting. The motivation from this project partially comes from the opening scene of Limitless, where they use this effect and create a really compelling result. Their setup involves using 3 cameras and 3 lenses, where they use the wide-angle lens, the telephoto lens, and the medium-angle lens. They put each of these lenses on one camera and then use a setup that places these cameras very close to each other. This allows them to move into the scene while recording a video and spin and capture moving objects and get this really cool result. Now, this has the downside of requiring 3 cameras, which can be expensive and hard to obtain. So other filmmakers have used a different setup where they use 1 camera and 3 lenses. This involves taking 3 photos at one location with each of the 3 different lenses, these being the wide angle, medium angle, and telephoto lens, and you get a result such as this. This is the effect that I will be trying to mimic with my project, where I will be using a wide angle lens and a medium angle lens to try and merge these photos using some sort of algorithm and create this effect. So in order to do so, I had to capture my own image stack at different depths into the scene. I took about 30 images, each with the wide angle lens and the medium angle lens, and then I moved 4 feet into the scene and took more images. Now, this allowed me to use different images at different depths when trying to recreate this effect. So I could, for instance, use every other image or every 3 images or just all the images, and I compared these results and try just different things to see what worked best. So if you look at the truck, you can see that we are moving into the scene, and it is about 4 feet for each photo. So I also use the wide angle lens. So here's an example of the wide angle shot on the first image and the medium angle shot. You can see that on the right side of each image, there's only 1 pole visible on the medium angle lens, while 3 on the left image. And once I had these images taken, I needed a method where I could sort of recreate the field of view of one image on another image. So given the field of view as a rectangle that we're trying to achieve, I would want to crop an image inwards to try and transition into that second image. So I did this by calculating the corners of the rectangle that I would use, and I multiplied this by some constant t, where this t ranges from 0 to 1. This allows you to move into this estimated field of view, and by controlling the difference between each t, you can make the result smoother. The final step was to interpolate the result. This is to preserve the fact that the images were 6,000 by 4,000, as cropping the image would make them smaller, so I wanted every image to be 6,000 by 4,000 to create a final video. Now, to actually estimate this field of view, I used a homography. So I used SIF to detect features, and then I used FLAN for feature matching, which is just like an approximate k nearest neighbors. And this on the right, you can see the result of this. So these images here, this image that you're seeing, it is the wide angle lens and the estimated field of view of the medium angle lens. So this rectangle represents the estimated field of view of the medium angle lens, and we can see that it is pretty accurate. It captures a little bit of the second pole, which isn't visible in the medium angle shot, but overall it is pretty good. And then by using the zoom function that I made, where you have the t constant, I do this for every shot and I get this result here. It's a little jittery, but it's still an interesting result, and I thought it was interesting how it came out. But if I were to improve this result, I would want it to be smoother. And there's a few ways where I would think you could do this. I think one way would be to use a telephoto lens. I had access to a telephoto lens, but the focal lengths were too large for what I needed, so I didn't end up using it. I think another way to improve this would be use longer scenes. My scene was pretty short because Pittsburgh, it's hard to find a long street without anything moving in between shots, so I chose the scene that fit closest to what I needed. Another thing that I would probably change is I would experiment with different field of view estimation techniques. So I tried 2 different techniques. I ended up going with the homography one, but I think there's probably better ways to estimate the field of view of an image, and I would look into that more.